Welcome to Dream Small. I'm Jason.
And I'm Whitney.
In a world challenging you to chase big, we dare you to dream small.
We're a family of 8 who's fostered, adopted, and stumbled our way through learning that small, everyday choices can change lives.
Join us as we share stories and encouragement to help you live out your purpose.
And we're back. We're coming to you from our brand new studio space with a really cool table that I found at a yard sale, and the floor of our studio is now School Supply Central.
Yeah, in Central Indiana, the kids, we do, I forget the fancy term for it, a balanced schedule.
Yeah.
And our kids actually go back to school at the end of July. And apparently this year, Target is selling school supplies very cheaply. So Whitney and our eldest went last night and tried to take advantage of it.
Thank God for an oldest daughter who loves organizing things, which I feel weird saying because she's not the most organized, but when it's something she wants to organize, man, she kills it. And she combined 3 back to school lists for me, actually 4, into one document. And we went school shopping. And then today, her way of helping mom was to reorganize them based on each child.
On the floor of our basement. So
I mean,
it's perfect.
It's also really messy, and there's a lot of trash and bags and piles and things and hazards, but we'll get there.
We basically move from one chaos to the other chaos and try to keep it somewhat balanced.
Yeah. Back to school is not for the faint of heart.
I mean, but think about it. Once they start, how much simpler will your days be?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to go to the whole think about when there's 6 kids in school. And I was like, oh, no thank you.
No, we're still a ways off from that. This year, once everybody's in therapies and back to school, you'll be you and the baby.
One child.
And
yeah.
the baby.
Yeah, which will be an amazing 5-hour break with the bookends of crazy when it comes to transporting kids from 3 different locations. It'll be great.
Should be fun.
It'll be a great time. So today we are diving into the dichotomy of adoption. It is a complex thing, to say the least. Adoption feels like something celebratory, and it is, but 4 years ago, when we went through our first adoption.
We're doing this episode in honor of our 6-year-old who we just celebrated her gotcha day this past week, which a gotcha day is when you celebrate the adoption of that child.
Yep. So we adopted her June 25th of 2021. So we just celebrated 4 years of her being a small. I can go back to the emotions that I felt during that whole process like it was yesterday. I had so many walls up around my heart because I didn't think that day would ever actually come. I was excited and happy and nervous, and every emotion that you could possibly conceive went through my heart and my mind. And I think, I mean, not to be rude, but I feel like your emotions are a little simpler. Jason's are.
Yes.
Than mine.
Yes. That's a gentle way of putting more balance, more level. Yeah. Whitney feels very heavy, whether good or bad. And I'm pretty just in the middle. I don't get too up or too down. And
so some might say simple. Some might say balanced.
As we talk about this today, this is our experience, the 2 adoptions we have. And like Whitney mentioned, most people just view adoptions as just a day of celebration. That is true, but there's a lot more to it. And that's what this episode's about, is the dichotomy, the balance, the friction between the celebration and the mourning of what should have been.
Yeah, I mean, adoption is beautiful, but the bittersweet truth of adoption is that it never should have been necessary. We can't look at our adoptive children and tell them this was God's plan for them, because then you're negating their biological families and the fact that we're living in a fallen world with broken people. Their brokenness may have led to their adoption being necessary, but that's not something to celebrate.
You can't have redemption without brokenness, right? You can't call yourself redeemed or adopted without first something tragic happening. And we're going to share both kids' stories. They're both kind of unique and the emotions that went through both of them. And then we were doing this just to shed a light on people who haven't adopted don't get this. And when adoptive parents are struggling with this, people look at them like they have a vine growing out of their forehead and they don't understand. We're doing this both to encourage any parents going through the adoption process so that they don't think they're crazy for feeling this tension of emotions, and people who haven't adopted and aren't really connected so they can hopefully get a small little glimpse into the reality of the emotional friction in adoption.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So the adoption stories of both of our kiddos are pretty unique. Each one has a unique little story. We're not going to tell their stories because maybe when they're older and they want to share, but they can come on here and share.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really ours to tell. So I think out of respect for them and their privacy and their story, we're just going to be pretty vague about it. And I'm sure, our listeners will understand that.
Our oldest kid that we've adopted is 6 years old. She came to us on a Friday in February with the intention of she just needs a couple weeks of TLC.
Actually, it was, I have this perfectly healthy baby. And can you give her TLC for the weekend? Because this was a Friday afternoon. And it was actually the same caseworker who was on another case of a child in our home. And she said, I know you already have a baby, but this baby just needs, she's been sitting in the office all day. She just needs a little TLC for the weekend. I think we'll have everything figured out by Monday. So we said yes. Actually, I called Jason. I remember I was on my way to the dentist with our two big kids, and I got this phone call. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know. We already have a baby, like a 3-month-old baby, like a baby. So
but he was going home.
He was going to go home like within a week. So I told the caseworker, I was like, let me call Jason. He's the voice of reason. I don't know. So I called Jason and I said, hey, I need you to be the voice of reason here. And what was your response?
Let's do it. Yep. And that weekend of TLC
turned into forever.
Her adoption story, like Whitney mentioned, we're not going to go into the details, maybe another episode, but that's how it started, and it ended with her being adopted with some really big ups and downs along the way. Yeah,
we had extremes. At first, her mom thought I was the enemy, and I remember crying in the chapel at the local children's hospital after she tried to attack me, asking Jason, how am I supposed to love her? Because all I wanted to do was to show her that we loved her and we were for her. And our relationship actually, thank God, was able to become full circle. And it got to a point when I was able to have a civil conversation with her and let her know that I know you love your daughter. And if for whatever reason, the courts decide that you cannot raise her, please know she will not get stuck in the system. We will adopt her. We will love her like our own. So getting to have that conversation was such a powerful moment. And I think a freeing moment for that mama who had a lot of struggles of her own.
That's a good summary of her story in about very quick highlighted. Our youngest boy, his is a little simpler. Whitney knew before he was born, we were getting ready to get a baby boy that we were going to adopt. We were on a trip to Cincinnati. We were sitting on the Ohio River. We were going to see her man Garth. And we were sitting there. She's like, hey, just so you know, when we get home, we're getting a baby. And that has been a trend in our
it's a thing.
Whenever Whitney and I get time away, it comes with an additional kid once we get home. Whit, in your words, why do you think adoption exists anyway? Why is adoption even a thing?
Because children need a loving home. I mean, if we go back to how we have explained foster care to our kids, we have told the kids from the beginning, based on their age and what they can understand, that we're fostering because, some kids, mommies and daddies, can't provide a safe, loving home for them. So we're doing that and stepping into that until they're able to care for them. And unfortunately, some moms and dads are never able to provide that home for them. So, I mean, the simplest of explanation, that's why adoption exists. If you look at it from a biblical perspective, we are all adopted into God's family. It's the gospel story, right? So we're just kind of carrying out what God has already done for us and trying to extend that love and mercy and grace to other people.
One of the things people like to say to us when referencing our kiddos, our adoptive kiddos specifically, is, oh man, they are so lucky to have you.
Yeah.
And while that is said with the world's greatest, sweetest intentions, you're completely wrong if you tell that to a foster parent or adoptive parent.
It's just so hard because there's nothing lucky about it. I mean, they were born into a life that they didn't ask for. They will be working through trauma for the rest of their life that they did nothing to cause. It was brought on by adults that should have been stepping up to care for them and love them and keep them safe from the start, right? From the womb. There's nothing lucky about that. It's really sad, which is part of why adoption is such this dichotomy of mixed emotions.
Our 6-year-old, the need for her to be adopted is never there. It was not God's plan for her to be pulled away from her mom and placed with us. Now she is completely our child. We love her no different than we love the kids we made. She is ours. We love her desperately, deeply. I will fight for her. So will Whitney.
Yes.
But because of Whitney mentioned the trauma, she came to us at 9 weeks old. Even the trauma she experienced in her first 9 months in the womb and then her first 9 weeks of life, that is trauma she will be dealing with her entire life. And people don't understand that. That doesn't go away with adoption. Just because a family loves her deeply and brought her into their home and she's now part of this family, that doesn't undo that trauma.
Yeah, it doesn't just kind of wipe or erase everything. It doesn't just magically, it's not a magic wand that makes everything better. There's the celebration of that adoption day and that permanent home, that permanent place that that child now has within a family. But at the same time, it doesn't make anything better. It's still hard. There's still so many mixed emotions, so many feelings of, why was I unwanted? Why wasn't I good enough? Why am I not with the person who gave birth to me? Right? That feeling of not belonging, no matter how much love and loyalty we show, we're not the people that they were meant to be with.
No, we were not the primary plan. We were God's redemptive plan.
Yes.
We share all that to say this is both for, people listening who aren't, like I mentioned earlier. Make sure you're empathetic to the dichotomy of the emotions within adoption. It is not all just simply a celebration. If you just view it as a celebration, you're dismissing what that poor kiddo has been through. I remember when our 6-year-old's biological mother had her rights terminated, meaning that's a step to go towards adoption. Whitney was an emotional mess that day.
Oh, it was so hard because on one hand, it was what needed to happen. And I was thankful for that. And it was a relief that it finally happened because it had been such a roller coaster. On the other hand, my heart broke for another mother's heart. I cannot fathom being told that I don't get to parent my child, right? That is not something that God desires. That is not his intention or his plan. And free of mental health or addiction, that is not something that, someone would be okay sitting with. There's definitely situations where people struggle and they may not feel the enormity of the situation, or they may choose to mask it. It's just hard. It's really hard. And I remember it was a Zoom when that happened, and I just cried. And I was so relieved, like I said, and I was also so sad and so heartbroken.
And you feel guilty that you feel happy.
Right.
Because by this time it had been pretty clear that our daughter was going to be adopted by us eventually, one way or another. It was just a matter of going through the system. Despite that, like Whit mentioned, her biological mother absolutely loved her. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah. She loved her. She just wasn't able to care for her.
Just, that reality, the reality that, oh my gosh, we are going to adopt her. Oh my gosh, this brokenness she's gone through is absolutely real too.
It's just heartbreaking. It is. And I can't imagine our lives without her. And it really stinks that it's just...
She's starting to get the age now where she's starting to ask a lot of those type of questions. She knows she's not the same color as us. We have peach skin. She has brown skin. She's learned that she didn't come from mommy's belly. So those questions are going to come and they're going to be hard. And she's going to really struggle with, wow, my belly mommy didn't love me enough to do what needed to be done to keep me.
And I mean, if we're being honest here, she already does struggle with some of that. You know, if she gets really upset, she'll say, I want to live with another family. And
at least once a day, she asks for a new mommy or daddy from Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just because she sees, you know, kids coming in and out of her home and going to different families, right? But there's a seed planted there. And yeah, she very much said to me a couple weeks ago that I want to order a new mommy off Amazon. And I was like, well, sorry, but I'm what you got.
We just wanted to come on here on this episode and share just a little bit. So many times people gloss over the complexity of the emotions associated with adoption. And we were kind of reflective on it this week on the Gotcha Day. And we wanted to come just share our experience and encourage other adoptive families. Like, hey, it's okay to feel conflicted. That weird tug you feel is normal. At least it was for us. Not saying everybody does it. I was a little less emotionally conflicted than Whitney. I think it was that mama bear connection all mamas have. But it was weird, despite the fact I just wanted to get our girl adopted. When the day came, there was that like, oh man.
Yeah.
One string has to be completely severed for another good thing to happen. And the truth is, God doesn't erase the pain, but he'll walk with us in it. He'll enter it with us. And as he always does, he'll always bring beauty from ashes. And I can't think of a better example of that than adoption.
Yeah, I'm going to close this episode with a letter that I wrote to our daughter the night before her adoption. Like I shared earlier in this podcast, I never let myself fully believe that she would be ours until that adoption gavel, the judge hit that gavel, until those papers were signed, until that day in court, because it just felt like such a roller coaster. And it just felt like, I don't know, wrong on certain levels, right? So this is what I wrote to her, and I titled it An Open Letter to My Daughter. And I remember sitting in my bed. I couldn't sleep the night before her adoption, so I decided to write. Here's what it says. The date is June 24th, 2021, the eve of your adoption. Tomorrow morning, a judge will officially close your case, and you will be ours forever. The tears I've protectively bottled up are now flowing. The walls that have guarded my heart for 2.5 years are finally crashing down. I feel speechless, exuberantly chatty, and tongue-tied all at the same time. I'm going to tell you a secret. I never actually expected this day to arrive. I never believed I'd get to love you longer than a couple days. It was 8 p.m. on that Friday night when I held you in my arms for the first time. I knew in that moment that I'd move heaven and earth for you, but I also knew my opportunity to do so would probably be short-lived. And then, to my surprise, those precious days turned into weeks. It didn't take long for you to become my family, a sweet and innocent child God entrusted to us for an unspecified amount of time. We had no idea what was in store, but I knew that I would cherish you and advocate for you as long as I could. Foster care, adoption, none of that was expected, but God knew. It's his plan to redeem this fallen world and our broken stories. His redemption story for us is one of love, grace, and growth, forgiveness, patience, and mercy. It's a story filled with perseverance, steadfastness, faith, and blind trust. I can look back and confidently see his hand in all of it. Adoption isn't something I take lightly. I won't deny being a little scared and nervous of what's to come, worried over when and how badly I will mess up this blessed job of raising you. Today, I'm surrendering it all to Him, fully trusting the same Spirit who sustained us thus far to continue guiding our way from this day forward. It's amazing, really. He created this divine intersection where our paths crossed on that February night. Lives, hearts, and souls now forever intertwined. He has given us the greatest gift, you. You are a blessing from above. From the moment you took your first breath on that November day, God has been looking out for you. He created you for a purpose. God blessed you with a holy fire, and girlfriend, you're going to move mountains with that energy and passion. How lucky am I to get to have a front row seat? Some promises to you as this letter comes to a close. I will be your strongest advocate and your biggest fan. I will shower you with unconditional love and will raise you up to love Jesus and love people. I will challenge you to be your best self and will listen when you want to talk, no matter how big or small the topic. I will be your safe place, always. I will honor your heritage and teach you about your history. I promise I'll never stop learning, never stop loving, never stop defending, and never stop guiding you as you grow into the beautiful woman God has created you to be. You, my child, are reborn, and we will celebrate you today and every day. I love you. I always have, and I always will.
Thanks so much for listening. We are so grateful for your support. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please take a moment to follow or subscribe to the podcast? And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, a quick rating or review goes a long way in helping others who find the show. If someone came to mind while you were listening, would you please consider sharing this episode with them? Thanks again, and remember, dream small.